tasmin deva. My dear brothers, sisters, children of God, my fellow souls, namaste. I stand here. In this case, pride is a good thing. I stand here proud with you as fellow Aryans, as we pay homage to Maharishi Swami Dayananda Saraswati, our Arya Samaj, our great Arya Samaj. The use of the word Arya alone indicates a profound commitment by those of us who call ourselves Aryan. Because the very idea of saying that I belong to Aryan suggests that I am also a noble person. The goal of the Arya Samaj Krinvanto Vishwamaryam, to make the whole universe noble. To become a world of Aryans engaging in doing noble deeds. But to do that, many of you heard me say this before, we have to become noble first. Each one of us must become noble before we go out there and try to make the universe noble. So we celebrate the founding of this great organization, an organization for change. And it is so very often in our lives we find reasons to celebrate, and we celebrate. Personally, I see these moments of celebration as a moment in time to measure myself, of measuring my own spiritual growth against the standards set by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. This great Samaj of Aryans, you know, we talk about the 10 principles, we read the 10 principles, we hold camps and we dedicate one principle to that camp. It almost seems like we have these 10 things we love to read, but those are the 10 things we ought to live our lives by. So today, to measure myself against it, I want to measure myself today, and I'll do that against the standards set by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. So if I do not acknowledge God as the primary reason, if I do not believe in my heart that He pervades every single atom, if I search anywhere else for God except in my own being, then I'm not living by the first principle of Arya Samaj. Number 2, if I insist that others pay reverence to me, that they bow and worship and pay homage to me, my name and all for the sake of pleasing my own ego, then I am not practicing the second principle of the Arya Samaj. If I do not read the Vedas and believe in its teachings to the depth of my heart, if I do not understand those teachings and teach it to others, make that commitment to teach to others, if I do not take every opportunity to learn more and focus on learning it the right way and then implement that learning in my life, in the spirit of continuous improvement of self, then I'm not practicing the third principle of the Arya Samaj. If I do not teach others to seek and accept the truth, if I do not encourage them to seek their own truth within and find their oneness with God within, then I'm not practicing the fourth principle of Arya Samaj. If my actions are not conforming with dharma, if my actions are selfish, unkind, unloving, and ego-fulfilling, and immoral, then I'm not living my life by the fifth principle of the Arya Samaj. If I steal the blocks from my brother's house of worship to build my own house of worship, Something very prevalent in all religions nowadays. Meaning that I go to all the mandirs and I encourage you come to my mandir. We go to mandir, we should encourage, go to the closest mandir, go to the one that make you feel at peace and go there, but go. This is what I mean by stealing the blocks from the house of worship of my brother to build my own. If I only seek to fulfill my own cause and my own glory, if my actions create divisions instead of unity, in my Arya Samaj or in society, in my workplace even, if I'm not practicing that kind of togetherness, then I'm not practicing the sixth principle of the Arya Samaj. So I ask each of you to ask yourself this question. Are our actions creating unity or divisions in your life? That's a great measurement of whether you think like an Aryan. If I do not treat others by their merits, but I judge them on their plight, and I do nothing to help to raise their level of thinking, then I'm not living by the seventh principle of the Arya Samaj. If I choose to stay in the darkness of ignorance, or I have the knowledge, but I do not help to share it selflessly, to help others rise above the darkness in their lives, then I'm not practicing the eighth principle of the Arya Samaj. If I go to Mandir, and this happens very often, if I go to Mandir and someone says something which displeases me, let's say that the Pandit says something, or I go and they don't give me my spotlight, my moment in spotlight, and it hurts my ego, then I hate him and I dislike them and I don't go to that mandir again. He did not call upon me. How does somebody dare hurt my ego? This ego I try so hard to protect. But no, instead of disliking that person, I ought to thank them for helping me to identify my ego so I can conquer it. So if I do not motivate and encourage and promote others to achieve a higher spiritual realm, to think higher spiritually, if I only care about myself and I'm contented to feed my ego and satisfy my own material, religious, and spiritual desires, then I am not living to the ninth principle of the Arya Samaj. I always say avoid the 3 C's. Do not complain, do not condemn, do not criticize. If we do not do those 3 things, we'll find happiness in our lives. I find those 3 things to be part of the 10th principle of the Arya Samaj. If I'm always criticizing others, putting them down at every turn, if I behave in a way that suggests I am better than anyone else, if I act for my welfare alone at the expense of others, then I'm not practicing the 10th principle of the Arya Samaj. My fellow souls, today I bring you this, in this celebration of Arya Samaj Foundation Day, I bring you this different way of looking at it and measuring ourselves against the 10 principles. We analyze ourselves in the mirror of the 10 principles written by this great Maharishi. We want to say we love Maharishi Swami Dayananda Saraswati. Practice his teachings first. In this age of obvious moral decline and decay, blind faith in senseless rituals and crippling superstition, our profound duty as Aryans have become even more important. And we need to fully and selflessly embrace this divine duty out of fullness of heart and out of goodness of heart, selflessly. Swami Dayananda Saraswati taught his entire life we must seek to conquer egos, forsake personal, selfish, and materialistic goals, and instead practice the great selfless teachings of the Vedas, for this is the only way. My fellow souls, I pray that all of us are fully committed to becoming truly Aryan. I pray that we continue to expound the teachings of the Vedas, to build bridges and not walls, to create togetherness and not divisions in our mandirs, and to continue to change the world into one that exhibits noble qualities, nobleness. In this noble journey begins with us. Let us make ourselves noble first, so that we can help Loka samasta sukhinho bhavantu, so that we help the whole world attain peace and harmony. With love and humility in my heart. Namaste.
Thank you, Pandit. We have Pandit Ramlal with us. I would request Pandit Lal